Imagine, if you will, a royal engagement ring that began as a heartfelt tribute to love and legacy, only to be reshaped time and again in ways that whisper of hidden motives, eroded symbolism, and a recent farewell to a master jeweler whose touch once bound it to Princess Diana's enduring memory, all while questions swirl about who truly held the designer's pen in those transformative moments. Good day, my astute companions. It's a pleasure to share this confidential exploration with you as we uncover the layers of intrigue surrounding what was once hailed as Prince Harry's personal creation for Meghan Markle. Let's step back to that crisp November day in 2017, when the world first glimpsed the ring on Meghan's finger during their engagement announcement. There she was, beaming with what seemed like genuine enthusiasm, declaring it beautiful and insisting that he, Prince Harry, had designed it himself. Incredible, she called it. And indeed, the narrative spun around it was nothing short of a fairy tale tailored for the masses. The central diamond hailed from Botswana, a place holding sentimental value for the couple, flanked by two smaller stones plucked from the cherished collection of his late mother, Princess Diana. It wasn't merely jewelry, it was a symbol, a bridge between past and present, ensuring Diana's spirit accompanied them into their future. In royal circles, such pieces aren't casual adornments, they're heirlooms laden with emotional weight, shorthand for continuity and family bonds that stretch across generations. A well-placed source close to palace circles recalls how Harry collaborated with Cleve and Company, the esteemed jewelers favored by the Queen herself, to craft this three-stone masterpiece set on a sturdy yellow gold band. The estimated value? Around $126,000, though some whispers suggest it could fetch far more at auction today, given its royal provenance. But value aside, it was the thoughtfulness that captured hearts, the deliberate inclusion of Diana's diamonds. A gesture that spoke volumes about honoring legacy amid new beginnings. Yet even then, one couldn't help but sense a touch of skepticism. After all, royal stories are often polished to a high sheen, aren't they? And with Harry and Meghan, there's always that undercurrent of self-presentation, a bit too eager to charm. As we consider the ring's deeper symbolism, it's worth noting the subtle influences woven into its design. Engagement rings in the royal family carry historical echoes, and this one bore the quiet imprint of a legendary figure in British jewelry, David Thomas. Now, Thomas wasn't just any craftsman, he was a crown jeweler, a post-war icon who shaped pieces that told stories far beyond their sparkle. Most notably, while at Gerard and Company, he designed Princess Diana's own sapphire engagement ring, that unforgettable blue gem surrounded by diamonds, which later passed to Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Thomas had a personal rapport with Diana. She even gifted him cufflinks, which he wore with pride. For him, jewelry was narrative incarnate, memory forged in precious metals and stones. A longtime family acquaintance shares that Thomas's approach emphasized timeless elegance over fleeting trends, ensuring each creation resonated with personal history. In Harry's ring, though not directly his handiwork, one can detect echoes of that philosophy, the solid gold band grounding the diamonds, much like the sturdy settings Thomas favored. It grounded the piece, making it feel substantial, heirloom-worthy. Public reception was overwhelmingly positive at first. Women of a certain age, much like yourselves, appreciated the nod to tradition, the way it blended romance with reverence for the past. But as with many royal tales, cracks soon appeared. Sources behind closed doors began murmuring about Meghan's preferences, hints that the original design, while sentimental, didn't quite align with her vision of glamour. Was it too understated, too tied to old-world charm? These whispers, drawn from social circles and tabloid edges, painted a picture of quiet dissatisfaction, though always veiled in politeness. Of course, we must approach such gossip with our characteristic discernment. After all, royal jewelry isn't redesigned on a whim. It involves costs, both financial and symbolic. Resetting stones can run into tens of thousands, not to mention the emotional toll of altering something so laden with meaning. A source within the inner circle confides that early discussions around the ring focused on its role as a future artifact, something to be passed down, perhaps to a daughter or granddaughter. Yet, as time passed, those ideals seemed to shift. By 2019, keen observers at Trooping the Color spotted the first change, the thick yellow gold band replaced by a slender pavé one glittering with tiny diamonds. It was a stark departure, lighter and more contemporary, but at what price to the original intent? This alteration didn't go unnoticed. Commentary from fashion insiders, as relayed by a well-placed source, described it as a complete bespoke reset stones removed from their initial setting and reframed entirely. Technically flawless, yes, but symbolically, that's where the drama unfolds. Removing the stones from Harry's chosen band diluted the direct link to Diana, that carefully constructed bridge. And let's not forget the money angle. Such custom work doesn't come cheap, especially when involving high-end jewelers. Estimates suggest the pavé edition could have added $10,000 or more to the piece, though some argue it cheapened the timeless appeal, making it look more like a fashion accessory than a royal relic. Public opinion split like a flawed diamond. Some praised the update as modern and elegant, fitting for a duchess charting her own path. Others, and I suspect many of you share this view, saw it as a subtle erasure, a move away from legacy toward trendiness. A well-meaning staff member recalls overhearing debates in private quarters about whether the new band truly balanced the stones or left them looking adrift. The thicker gold had provided weight, stability. The pavé felt airy, almost ephemeral, and in the background, that nagging question, who really orchestrated this change? The official line pointed to Harry, but skepticism lingered, especially given Meghan's known affinity for bolder, more contemporary styles. As we peel back these layers, it's clear the ring's story is more than skin deep. It touches on quarrels within the family, subtle tensions over tradition versus independence, and the gossip that fuels them. Whispers from sources behind closed doors suggest Meghan's influence grew stronger post-wedding, her tastes leaning toward flashier elements that echoed her Hollywood roots rather than Windsor's storied halls. One can't help but feel a pang of cynicism. After all, in a world where every detail is scrutinized, changes like this invite speculation about motives. Was it comfort, as some claimed, or a quiet assertion of control? Building on this, let's consider the broader implications. Royal engagements are public spectacles, but the jewelry, that's personal, intimate. Altering it sends ripples through the press, the public, even the palace. And with David Thomas's recent passing on January 18, 2026, due to complications from Alzheimer's, as noted by those close to jewelry heritage circles, the timing adds a poignant twist. Thomas, even in 2025 amid his illness, could lucidly recall designs from decades past, his memory for artistry unshaken. His death underscores the fragility of those historical threads, making the ring's transformations feel all the more significant. Yet, doubts persist about the initial redesign's authorship. While Harry was credited with the original, the 2019 shift raised eyebrows. A source close to palace circles hints that the narrative of his involvement might have been embellished, a polish to maintain the romantic facade. After all, in royal PR, stories are crafted as meticulously as the jewels themselves. And as we approach the later alterations, the plot thickens. Absences of the ring in 2023, speculated second and third tweaks, culminating in that 2025 Netflix glimpse of what appeared to be an emerald-cut center stone, larger and squarer, veering further from the cushion-cut Harry selected. These evolutions spark endless intrigue, costs mounting with each reset, public quarrels amplified on social fronts, and that underlying drama of a couple whose independence often clashes with royal expectations. One senses a touch of dismissal toward Harry and Meghan's handling, perhaps a bit too cavalier with symbols that carry such weight. But as intelligent observers, we see beyond the sparkle to the stories beneath. And so, as we pause here, the question looms: how many times can a ring be remade before its original soul is lost? But let's press on with this tale of perpetual transformation, where each tweak to that once cherished ring seems to unravel a bit more of its intended story, leaving us to wonder if the changes reflect mere taste or something deeper, like a quiet rebellion against royal constraints. The first major shift came into sharp focus during Trooping the Color in June 2019, a spectacle where every detail is dissected under the public gaze. Observers couldn't help but notice the alteration. The original thick yellow-gold band, so solid and grounding, had been swapped for a much slimmer pavé version, encrusted with tiny diamonds that added a sparkle more suited to red carpets than regal traditions. A well-placed source in fashion circles described the process as a complete overhaul. The central stone and Diana's flanking diamonds were carefully removed from their initial setting and remounted afresh. From a jeweler's perspective, it's all quite routine, a matter of aesthetics and perhaps comfort, as some have suggested. Yet one senses a touch of cynicism here. After all, if Prince Harry truly designed the original with such personal intent, why the need for this update so soon after their wedding? Whispers from sources behind closed doors hint that Meghan's preferences lean towards something lighter, more contemporary, perhaps echoing her pre-royal life in Hollywood, where trends trump timelessness. It's hard not to raise an eyebrow at the timing, coinciding with their first anniversary and the arrival of young Archie, moments when one might expect sentiment to hold sway over style. The backlash was swift and divided, much like the quarrels that often bubble up in royal commentary. Some applauded the pavé band as a modern evolution, making the ring feel more delicate and aligned with Meghan's sleek persona. Others, and I suspect many among us who value legacy, saw it as a dilution, a lighter visual weight that made the piece seem less substantial, more fleeting than the heirloom it was meant to become. A longtime family acquaintance confides that within certain circles there was quiet dismay. The thicker gold had echoed the sturdy designs of yesteryear, providing balance to those meaningful stones. Now, with the pavé edition, it appeared trend-driven, almost as if prioritizing flashover family history. And the money side of it? Such bespoke work isn't inexpensive. Estimates from those in the know peg the cost at around $10,000 or more, a sum that raises questions amid the couple's narratives of independence and frugality. Of course, this was merely the beginning. As the years unfolded, the ring's story grew more layered and contentious. By the 2022 Invictus Games, eagle-eyed watchers spotted what seemed like a second subtle enhancement. Additional diamonds nestled around the central stone, amplifying its brilliance but further straying from Harry's purported blueprint. Then came 2023, a period marked by notable absences. Meghan was seen without the ring on several occasions, fueling endless speculation. Was it for repairs, security, or something more dramatic? Sources within the inner circle murmured about possible third tweaks during this time, perhaps adjustments to the setting, or even resizing, though details remain shrouded, adding to the intrigue that so captivates us. But the real escalation hit in 2025 with the trailer for Meghan's Netflix series, With Love, Meghan, offering a close-up that set tongues wagging anew. There it was, the center diamond, once a cushion cut from Botswana symbolizing their early romance, now appearing as a sharper, more elongated emerald or square cut, potentially larger for that extra dose of glamour. A well-placed source close to palace circles notes this could mark a fourth evolution, with the stone's facets transformed to evoke elegance, but at the risk of severing its original ties. Fans and critics alike pored over screenshots, debating if this was a mere optical illusion from the new setting or an outright replacement of the sentimental core. One can't ignore the gossip. Whispers from sources behind closed doors suggest motivations tied to envy, perhaps emulating the larger rocks sported by celebrity friends, or even subtly nodding to her first husband's simpler band. The drama intensified online, with ringgate theories exploding into quarrels about respect for Harry's design, or lack thereof. Public outcry reached a fever pitch, particularly among those who cherish Diana's memory. How could one tamper with stones from her collection without inviting accusations of erasure? A well-meaning staff member shares that in private discussions, there was concern over the value implications the original $126,000 piece, now potentially ballooning to $250,000 or even $300,000 with upgrades. Yet some argue these changes cheapen its emotional worth, turning a legacy item into a fashion statement. Fan debates raged. Was this an upgrade in carats for show or a practical shift? The money angle adds spice. Amid reports of the Sussexes' financial ventures, such expenditures invite skepticism about priorities. And let's be frank, with Harry and Meghan's independence often highlighted, these alterations clash with the royal ethos of preservation, don't they? It's as if the ring, once a symbol of unity, now narrates a tale of individual reinvention, perhaps at the expense of shared history. This frenzy didn't confine itself to tabloids, it spilled into everyday conversations, especially among women of discernment like yourselves, who relish the intrigue of palace quarrels and hidden dramas. Perceived slights to Diana's legacy sparked heated exchanges. Was this intentional dilution or innocent evolution? Sources behind closed doors fuel the scandalous side, hinting at marital tensions. Maybe the ring's absences in 2023 pointed to deeper rifts, or Meghan's control over such symbols reflected broader dynamics. One hears tales of envy-fueled decisions, like aspiring to outshine friends' jewels, or even subconscious echoes of past relationships. The media storm amplified it all, with online sleuths dissecting every appearance, turning a simple accessory into a saga of betrayal and ambition. Yet, amid the balanced views, there's a subtle dismissal of the Sussexes' explanations, or lack thereof. They've remained tight-lipped, allowing speculation to flourish, which only heightens the cynicism. After all, in a world where royal jewelry whispers of continuity, these repeated redesigns suggest a preference for reinterpretation over reverence. The quarrels extend to family ties. How does this sit with King Charles or Prince William, guardians of tradition? And the gossip persists, costs mounting with each reset, perhaps funded by their post-royal pursuits, adding a layer of financial drama that fascinates. It's all rather compelling, isn't it? A ring meant to bind now divides opinions, embodying the very independence Harry and Meghan champion, yet at what symbolic cost? As we delve further, one ponders the role of that pivotal figure, David Thomas, whose legacy casts a long shadow over these changes, especially now with his recent passing, bringing fresh poignancy to the narrative. These repeated metamorphoses bring us to the heart of the matter, don't they? The deeper implications of tampering with a piece so steeped in symbolism, where each alteration chips away at the narrative it was meant to preserve. Consider how the redesigns have progressively weakened that poignant connection to Princess Diana, whose diamonds were intended as a living thread to her memory. By dismantling the original setting and reframing those stones time and again, the intent of the initial design fades, almost as if rewriting history to suit a new script. A source within the inner circle reflects that such changes aren't merely cosmetic. They alter the story the ring tells, shifting from one of reverence for the past to a more personal, perhaps self-focused expression. And here we must pause to acknowledge the legacy of David Thomas, that masterful crown jeweler whose influence subtly underpinned so much of royal adornment. His designs weren't just about sparkle, they were vessels for narrative and memory, forged with a post-war sensibility that prioritized enduring elegance. Thomas's personal bond with Diana was well known. She gifted him those cherished cufflinks, a token of their rapport, and he crafted her wedding ring with the care of someone who understood the weight of such symbols. Someone close to palace circles shares that even in 2025, amid his battle with Alzheimer's, Thomas retained a lucid grasp on his creations from the 1970s, describing them with vivid detail as if time hadn't touched his artistic recall. Tragically, he passed away on January 18, 2026, from complications of the disease, leaving behind a void in the world of British jewelry. His departure, so recent, casts a fresh shadow over the ring's evolutions, amplifying questions about whether these shifts honor or quietly sideline the historical craftsmanship he embodied. In this light, the redesigns take on a more somber tone. The 2019 Pavé band, the speculated 2022 additions of extra diamonds around the center, the mysterious absences in 2023 perhaps for further tweaks or other reasons, and now the 2025 Netflix reveal of what appears to be an emerald-cut core, sharper and squarer than Harry's chosen cushion from Botswana. A well-placed source notes that this fourth iteration could elevate the ring's value to $250,000 or even $300,000, with each enhancement adding carats and cost, but at the expense of sentiment. Whispers from sources behind closed doors suggest motivations laced with intrigue, envy of larger stones among celebrity acquaintances, or a subtle echo of past relationships, like her first husband's simpler band. It's all rather telling, isn't it? In royal terms, where continuity reigns, these changes feel like a departure, a quiet assertion that legacy can be reshaped on a whim. Compare this to the steadfastness of other royal rings, and the contrast sharpens. Take Catherine's sapphire, that iconic piece once Diana's, passed unchanged to preserve its essence, a true heirloom embodying unbroken tradition. Or Queen Elizabeth's platinum-set diamond, worn for decades without alteration, a symbol of enduring commitment. Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, keeps her 2.5-carat sparkler as is, respecting its origins. Even Camilla's choice of the Queen Mother's substantial ring honors history without reinvention. A longtime family acquaintance confides that within palace walls, there's a subtle unease about Harry and Meghan's approach perceived as cavalier, prioritizing contemporary flair over the gravitas of royal artifacts. One senses a touch of cynicism. After all, amid their proclaimed independence, these tweaks invite speculation about underlying quarrels, perhaps financial strains or marital dynamics, especially with those 2023 absences sparking rumors of deeper rifts. The public backlash has been fervent, particularly among those who savor the drama of palace intrigue. Women of wisdom, much like you, my discerning friends, have voiced dismay over what feels like a slight to Diana's memory. How can one repeatedly rework stones from her collection without inviting accusations of dilution? Sources behind closed doors fuel the scandal. Theories that the Eternity Ring additions mask insecurities, or that the escalating costs, funded by their post-royal ventures, highlight a clash between thrift and extravagance. Online, the quarrels erupt Ringgate, they call it, with fans dissecting every glimpse. From Invictus appearances to Netflix trailers, debating if the side diamonds, once round and Diana's, now seem altered in facet or setting. A well-meaning staff member shares tales of hushed palace reactions, a mix of bemusement and concern, as if these changes underscore broader family tensions. King Charles's emphasis on tradition versus the Sussex's modern pivot, or Prince William's guardianship of legacy amid sibling strains. Money, too, weaves through this narrative like a glittering thread. The original $126,000 valuation ballooned with each reset pavé bands don't come cheap, nor do diamond enhancements or potential stone swaps. Whispers suggest Lorraine Schwartz, the celebrity jeweler, handled some work, her fees adding to the intrigue of how such expenses align with their independence mantra. It's compelling gossip, the kind that lingers. Is this about comfort, as claimed, or a drive to outshine, to craft a bolder image. And with Harry credited for the initial design via Cleve and Company, the lie-exposed angle simmers. Did he truly orchestrate the redesigns, or was that a polished tale? A source close to palace circles hints at embellishments in the storytelling, a romantic facade that crumbles under scrutiny. As we draw this exploration to a close, one can't help but reflect with a confidential nod. What began as a ring of love and legacy now whispers of reinterpretation, perhaps even abandonment of certain past ties. In the royal realm, where every visible detail bears historical freight, such transformations are seldom neutral. They stir intrigue, spark quarrels, and reveal glimpses of drama behind the sparkle. Whether intentional or not, they've diluted Diana's presence, sidelined Thomas's echoed intent, and invited endless speculation about motives, money, and marital undercurrents. Yet, as intelligent observers, we see it for what it is, a symbol evolved, but at what cost to its soul? Thank you for joining me in this candid unraveling, my astute companions. Until next time, keep pondering the stories jewels tell or fail to.